The gates groaned shut behind them, sealing the four of them inside the outer wall of Outpost Sierra. The sound reverberated down the empty entry corridor like a coffin lid settling into place. Ronan adjusted his grip on his staff and scanned the shadows ahead. "Feels wrong," he muttered. "It is wrong," Lira said, voice low but certain. The air here carried a faint metallic tang, like blood left too long in the sun, layered over the scent of scorched circuitry. The dim strip lights along the corridor guttered in fits, spilling uneven light across the metal decking. They advanced in a tight formation, boots echoing off the ribbed walls, each sound chased by the slow drip of unseen condensation. Beyond the walls, somewhere far off, the mountain winds moaned, funneled through Sierra's silent battlements. Zephyr's eyes flicked to every junction, taking in the details others might miss. The patches of frost clinging to the bulkhead seams, the subtle warping of floor panels as if something heavy had been dragged across them. "Outer wall's clear," he reported quietly, "but the temperature's dropping as we move inward, like the place is draining heat." "Stay sharp," Lira said, her voice taut. "We make for the command center first, then the med bay." They passed deeper into the base, through a series of pressure doors that opened reluctantly under Lira's access codes, their mechanisms squealing like wounded things. The deeper they went, the more the architecture changed, walls patched with temporary plating, overhead conduits rerouted in ugly exposed loops, and whole sections dark as though the light had simply been swallowed. And somewhere in the silence, under the hum of dying power, there was another sound, so faint they almost missed it. Breathing, but not theirs. They pressed on, passing through the last of the inner gates into the base proper. The main command center loomed ahead, its reinforced doors half open. Inside, dust floated lazily in the cold air, drifting between banks of dormant consoles. A few still flickered, their displays washed in static before blinking out entirely. Lira moved to the central table, coaxing life from its holographic interface. It sputtered before projecting a fractured display of Sierra's systems, a jagged mosaic of red warning markers and incomplete logs. Zephyr began pulling data fragments. "Most of this is corrupted, but there's a pattern. Movement in areas long since sealed, medical bay, reactor conduits, and..." He hesitated, glancing at the others. "A few descriptions of intruders that match what we've seen before?" Ronan's brow furrowed. "The shadows?" "Not shadows," Zephyr said quietly. "People, or what's left of them. Says here, corrupted souls, once Kalis citizens." The silence after that was heavier than the stale air. "Then we've got our answer," Lira said grimly. We head to the med bay. Maybe we find proof, maybe survivors." The corridors between the command center and the med bay were worse, lighting failing in whole segments, the floor underfoot vibrating with deep, irregular thuds from somewhere far below. Zephyr stopped more than once to study fresh scoring on the walls, patches of blackened metal as if burned by something that wasn't fire. It was during one of these pauses that Zane slowed, eyes distant. He wasn't looking at the damage, he was somewhere else entirely. A memory gripped him, Thea, in the Soulspire's great hall, her face pale as shadows pooled along the marble floor. His own voice in the memory, fierce and unyielding. "I won't let them take you." The feel of the heat gathering in his palms, the way it had flared uselessly against that darkness. The sound of a low hum pulled him back, the faint irregular whine of an energy conduit through a nearby maintenance hatch. It was the wrong sound. Conduits didn't waver. He glanced at the others ahead. No one was watching. Without a word, he slipped back and ducked through the hatch. The narrow passage beyond was lined with conduit pipes, all vibrating in subtle, uneven pulses that made his skin crawl. He moved quickly, the hum growing louder until he stepped into the reactor antechamber, where the light dimmed further, and something in the shadows shifted. Meanwhile, the others pressed on toward the med bay. It was only when they stepped into its flickering entrance that Lira turned to speak to Zane, and found only empty air. Her heart jolted. "Zane?" Ronan's head whipped around. Zephyr cursed under his breath. They were not alone in Sierra, and now Zane was somewhere in it without them.